Hello everyone, and welcome. With the end of the series and the recent release of the Demon Slayer movie, I went poking around the Demon Slayer fandom on Reddit and read some very interesting posts about the anime. I noticed that some topics have a lot of discussions for the simple reason that some people don't accept some facts about the work. This is normal. I'm sure someone will get angry about this, but it's normal. It's not ideal, but it happens. Let's start at the beginning. Okay, I confess that I'm a bit of a Rengoku fanboy, and I thought he was strong as hell, but I read a post on Reddit, and let's just say the person who wrote it had a point. I became a fan of Rengoku during his fight against Akaza. Let's be honest, what a magnificent fight, what a badass man. But I'll pump the brakes. In his fight against Akaza wasn't fighting with everything he had, he was playing around the whole fight, I'm warning you. Now, I only started reading the manga after the anime. For those who read the manga, you know that the fight between Akaza and Rengoku was fast. The fight only lasted 2 chapters, and the whole time, Akaza was constantly trying to convince Rengoku to become a demon. Akaza easily struck Rengoku's abdomen. In the anime, it gives the impression that Rengoku had some chance against Akaza, but let's face it, he never did. This is clearer in the Infinity Castle arc during his fight against Tomioka. I won't give too many spoilers here, but in his fight against Rengoku, I dare say that Akaza was using only about 30% of his power. Let me explain. The author released a list of the strongest Hashiras based on physical strength alone, and Uzui was in second place. That's the thing. Many people consider him weak for the simple fact that he didn't awaken the Demon Slayer mark. To awaken the Demon Slayer mark, certain requirements must be met, such as an elevated heart rate, high body temperature, and proximity to another marked Slayer. During his battle against Jutaro, Uzui stopped his own heart so that the poison could stop circulating. This deliberate reduction in heart rate went against the requirements for awakening the mark, which requires a heart rate above 200 beats per minute. Also, in the Entertainment District arc, where Uzui fought, Tanjiro had not yet fully manifested his mark, which would serve as the catalyst for other Hashiras to awaken theirs. Therefore, even though Uzui was at the limit of his strength and his life was at risk, he did not meet the necessary conditions for the mark to awaken, and that's the point. Even without the mark, Uzui is the fastest Hashira and the second strongest in terms of physical strength. Not only that, but he also excels in other abilities such as endurance and hand-to-hand combat. Let's face it, post-Demon Slayer mark, Uzui is not one of the strongest, but pre-Demon Slayer mark, Uzui is in the top 3 strongest. Let's be realistic here. Unlike Tanjiro and Zenitsu, Inosuke doesn't have many impressive battles. Let's compare. Tanjiro is the protagonist. The anime revolves around his evolution. I won't go into too much detail, but Zenitsu, even though he only knows one form, became a specialist in it. Not only that, Zenitsu created variations of it, as was shown in his fight against Kaigaku. Inosuke's most important fight was against Doma, but even then, he only managed to defeat him with the help of Kanao and Shinobu's sacrifice, which was essential to nerf Doma. But in Inosuke's defense, I must say that him being the weakest is understandable. The guy learned everything he knows by himself, unlike the others who had masters. I won't compare him to Tanjiro because that would be unfair. But in comparison with Zenitsu, neither of them has the Demon Slayer mark transparent world or selfless state. And even with Zenitsu only knowing one combat form, he was able to defeat an Upper Moon demon, even though Muzan promoted him to Upper Moon 6. Kaigaku was not as strong as Gyutaro. Zenitsu finished him off alone with some ease. Even though Inosuke created his own form and learned everything by himself. Yes, Inosuke is the weakest of the 3 main characters. Tanjiro surpassed all the Hashira, becoming the strongest in Demon Slayer. This is obvious, not only because he's a shonen protagonist, but also because by the end of the series, Tanjiro had the complete combo of abilities. He is the only wielder of the sun breathing, which he mastered in his fight against Michael Jackson Muzan, the selfless state, and the transparent world. Besides, he used the red blade with some ease, and we can't forget the Demon Slayer mark. You can argue against it, but let's face it, by the end of the series, Tanjiro has the full combo of abilities for a Slayer. On this next point, I was a bit confused because I saw various content saying that Tanjiro's father was extremely powerful, and others saying he was extremely weak. But I'll be honest here. Even with Tanjiro being frail, he was strong, though not at a Hashira level. Tanjiro was not a weakling, as many people think. In his defense, I will state what I believe. Tanjiro's father could use the sun breathing, but not for combat. He used it through the Hinokami Kagura dance, the only form he knew how to use. Tanjiro never used sun breathing in combat, so he didn't even have sword training. He wasn't a warrior. Furthermore, he possessed the transparent world, and his demon slayer mark was inactive. If you put the sick, frail Tanjiro against a more powerful demon, he would clearly die. Even though he has superior abilities compared to any human, he is not a swordsman. He is driven more by his survival instincts. Initially, if you put the frail Tanjiro, possessing the sun-breathing and the inactive demon slayer mark, he would already be infinitely more powerful than many beginner slayers. Even being sick, he is already powerful, but let's put him this way. Without the illness, with the Hinokami Kagura, transparent world, and without the demon slayer mark, because if he awakened the mark, he would be doomed. He would easily be one of the most powerful characters. Logically, he wouldn't be able to defeat more powerful adversaries like the upper ranks. But let's put him with training and a weapon capable of killing demons. He would undoubtedly be unstoppable. Okay, this last one here, I really started to wonder, why would anyone in their right mind say this? Why was Nezuko left out of the Infinity Castle? Seriously, someone answer me. What was Nezuko going to do in the Infinity Castle arc? At the time, she was beginning to turn back into a human because of Tamayo and Shinobu's drugs. Seriously, I want someone to give me a good reason. What would Nezuko do in combat? Or better yet, what would Nezuko do in the Infinity Castle? Folks, Nezuko was left out of the Infinity Castle because her safety was the top priority, as Muzan coveted her to absorb and become immortal. In the final arc, she was being protected by other demon slayers, while Muzan's main plan was to capture her. Nezuko participating in the Infinity Castle battle is the same as handing the victory to Muzan on a silver platter. I'm not talking about the demonic Nezuko who beat up everyone. We're talking about the Nezuko who was starting to become human. She would hinder more than she would help. I really don't understand why anyone would complain that she was left out. These are some facts that I picked out for you. So tell me, do you agree or disagree? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you in the next one, later. God bless. Who is the foundation of everything? And goodbye.